this building, even though right now it's currently titled 529 Grant Street, it's actually 530 Sherman. And Burkhardt Brewery, this was the original building. There's a number of cutoffs that you can see as you walk down this way on the building where they kept adding on and kept adding on. Eventually they got so big, they added a building next door. Concrete floors, brick walls, they're well insulated. Some of them are as thick as 4 feet. So it keeps us from having to worry about temperature control and everything else. We are also extremely lucky with the owner of this building, Ron Bassick, who has dedicated to us and to John Nayway, who owns Thirsty Dog in this building, that he's going to bring it back. He wants this to be a brewing mecca. For batch, you have your hot liquor tank, you have your mash tun, then you have your boil tun. So water starts out there, we warm it up, we move it over here, we get it to temp, add the grains to it. Once the grains set for a while, kind of like steeping tea, you're trying to convert all the starches to sugars in those grains. Depending on what the brew is, or what type of brew it is, whether it's a pale ale from stout, a pilsner, an amber, we'll take different kinds of grains. So it could go light grain to dark grain. Move it from this tank to this tank where you boil it. And standard boil is about 60 minutes, give or take, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. This is where you add your hops, you add any kind of extra additives, whether it be coriander, whether it be honey, depending on what the brew is. And the fermentation stage is where you add your yeast. That's where all those sugars are converted to alcohol. The simple idea is those sugars the yeast eat the sugars and poops out alcohol. So it's really a small, scaled down, giant brewery idea. We want to have as many on tap, which we hopefully will have 8 total. Right now we've got 7 recipes that are good to go. We've got one that we're still kind of fiddling with, which is our hard cider, and that's more of a time issue because it takes 6 months for your cider to turn from regular cider to good hard cider.